Hi there. So today I'm going to be sharing my opinion on the subject, what is the best way to deal with the harm of hate speech, misinformation, and disinformation on social media. So I wrote a few paragraphs about this, and I'm going to read the following just to share my opinion about this topic. So I believe that in order to continue to prevent harm, hate speech, and other misleading information on social media, governments, businesses, and consumers who have a part in this should act upon their role. There is so much more that the Canadian government could do in order to deal with the hateful content in the media. First of all, Canadian and American governments should be promoting news literacy, credible sources, and strong professional journalism in society to gain the public's trust. However, this can be very controversial, especially in America, when several news channels are either very biased with their information they say or have content that is generated more towards Republicans. For example, Fox News, CNN, and MSNBC have been known to be not very credible sources. In Canada, one of the most credible news channels we have is CBC and the Canadian Press. Although very similar to America, we have several non-credible and factual news channels being presented through mass media. Second of all, the provincial government should also incorporate news and media literacy in school as a subject or as an elective that can be taught. In order to prevent hate speech and misleading information online, we should be learning and talking about it. Media literacy is the ability to critically analyze stories presented in the mass media and to determine their accuracy or credibility. Social media has grown to become more than entertainment purposes. Now we use it to learn in school and understand new things that are happening across the world. Social media plays a massive role in our current lives. Educational institutions should make news literacy a higher priority in order to properly educate people about this subject. To continue, technology companies should also invest in more tools that can identify fake news and can also reduce the benefits of people who might profit from that. For example, social media apps such as Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, Instagram, and now TikTok. It becomes a bit difficult since social media apps like these are privately owned, and when they're privately owned, they can set their own rules on they can set their own rules on speech. There are 3 regulations that have been created, although some find it not to be sufficient enough when regulating media content. There are technical regulations, performance-based regulations, and process and procedural regulations. Governments should also hold the creators of these apps accountable if these tools aren't enough to protect the population. I also believe that governments should know how to address the issue without undermining the benefits or trying to erase digital and social media. Recently, the federal government made an announcement that they want to ban the social media app TikTok since it goes against their security and data rules they have in place. However, there has been no effort made by the government to try to regulate the app before wanting to get rid of it. Before concluding, I want to mention how we can stay protected. Governments and bigger corporations are the ones who can make the biggest change. However, there are small steps we can do in order to educate ourselves about hate speech and misleading information that is being presented to us online. Using strong passwords when creating accounts, being cautious about scammers, avoiding unsecured public Wi-Fi, enabling multi-factor authentication when we can, and being mindful of what we say and post online, because there is a saying that digital footprints is real. To conclude, all parties that were mentioned are responsible for the content being presented on social media, both creators and consumers. However, there are easy steps we can do in order to protect and educate ourselves about hate speech and misinformation that circulates online while we wait for bigger changes to happen.